Okay, so now I understand why Sonic Twitter unfollowed Roger Craig Smith. Hey, what's up, everyone? And just got some new info on exactly why Roger Craig Smith is no longer voicing Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, as you guys know, a couple weeks ago he left the role. He made a tweet saying that he was done with voicing Sonic, and he started out the sentence with "whelp and a broken blue heart." So a lot of people thought that he either got fired from Sega or replaced, or like sometimes Sega will have auditions for a Sonic game or Sonic role, and they'll have the same voice actors auditioning with everyone else, and if you got the part, you stayed. If you didn't, you basically were let go, or aka fired. But that did not happen at all, actually. There was no auditions. Roger Craig Smith didn't have to have any auditions. As I understand it, Sega, if they had their way, would have used Roger Craig Smith for as long as possible to voice Sonic. They had no intention of letting him go, or what everyone was saying, reboot the series. It's been speculated that they're rebooting Sonic, so they want all new voice cast. And I mean, while that sounds believable, when Colleen left, the voice of Tails, that's when I really started to scratch my head and get confused. Because I was like, why on earth would Sega be so stupid enough to fire their best Tails voice actor? I mean, were they going to go back to hiring boys to voice Tails, like in the adventure games? So that just didn't add up. And then, the voice of Amy, Cindy Robinson, left. And I'm like, okay, something's going on here. It's true that Sega changes their voice actors, but this was all of a sudden. So this was actually posted 3 days ago on a Voices of Krypton podcast show, and in it, Roger Craig Smith reveals some interesting details. Let's play some of it right now.
Well, I didn't read up on this, and maybe I should have. Were there circumstances surrounding your leaving the character, or did they were going in another direction? I mean, what was the story with that?
No, and I mean, without wanting to divulge too
I could
much,
cut this out too.
Oh, no, that's
Roger,
fine.
if that's okay,
It's
so.
just one of those things. I literally, I think my response would be it's just one of those things. It's a time in, looking at the way things are being handled and the way that you are and where you're at and what you kind of want to deal with and do. And I just found myself going, I think it's time. I think it's time to kind of to be done.
Yeah.
And so that's what that was.
Okay.
It's like, I know people are like, they're sort of surprised and shocked by it. And it was like, yeah. And I've seen all the speculation on like, well, voice actors don't walk away from roles. He was fired. And
Right. Of course. Everybody
I had
has
to
an
reply
opinion.
to somebody and go, you have absolutely no idea how this industry works. And it's like, so yeah, and it's interesting the perception that people have. We get this all the time. I mean, it's amazing all the experts that are out there that have nothing to do with this industry that make all these assumptions and well, this is how this works and this is what this does, and it comes down to everything. I mean, there's like I said, when the launch of Resident Evil 5 happened, there were moments where I was like, oh, okay, so I don't get invited to the launch party. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm the voice of your protagonist, but somehow, being told there was no launch party, and then the launch party happens, and they shut down like an entire city block in San Francisco, and
But there was no party.
yeah. Oh, but the mocap team got invited. Okay, that's interesting. So that's some politics. Like that's an interesting thing. Like it's stuff like that. Like you just start seeing the way the industry works, and you start, nobody wants to know how the sausage is made, and after a while you do things, and you start going, okay, I think I'm very pleased, and I'm very proud, and I'm very happy with what has happened there, and I think it's time to say like I don't want to keep doing this.
Right.
Some people would just be like, well, why? And it's like doesn't have to make sense to you.
Right. It doesn't.
It
doesn't.
made
at
perfect
all.
good sense to me, and it was the right thing to do, and I'm happy to have done it. And it's like, yeah, that's just how it goes. It's just one of those things. So,
But again, that's another life lesson, isn't it? In the sense of you think that you're making this valuable contribution to something. You're doing something that is an integral part of what's going on, and you find out like people aren't really loyal that way. They don't really view it that way. It's like everybody is interchangeable. Everybody's expendable. I mean, it's just
without a doubt.
Yeah.
And so it's knowing that it's like, so are the gigs that you choose and choose not to participate in or continue on or that kind of thing. It's like, I mean, this is so not even remotely close to compare, but I can remember watching Dave Chappelle on Inside the Actors Studio when he was talking about walking away from a $50 million, offer from Comedy Central. And he was like, yeah, I did.
Right.
I didn't want to do what they wanted me to do. And he was like, that's how that goes. And people are just like, well, what? And it's like, well, and really and truly, like all these things have kind of sort of like blended together to be this very interesting time in life, which is a pandemic, a lot of tumult in the world, and a lot of things kind of changing and shifting, and me getting into mid 40s and kind of looking at things where I was like, there's a place that I want to be, there's a place I want to live, there's a life that I see for myself. And I don't know that trying to keep my head above water in Southern California and in a place where I'm generally kind of not always happiest, and was investing a ton of time and effort and money into getting outside of California to go have restorative moments. And I'm like, well, I could be in a region of the world where I could have those moments, readily available to me. Why would I not go do that when I don't know if I'm a week away from a cancer diagnosis? I don't know if I'm going to get hit by a bus. I don't, and I don't know if I'm going to get COVID and because I have some underlying conditions, be somebody who doesn't fare so well with it. It was like, go live, man, just go. So this decision is kind of, it's sort of grouped into that kind of a mentality where I was like, all right, and also I've learned too that it's like, I don't know, you make a mistake and what do? You learn, you try to repair, you try to make sure that you don't do that again. And I don't know, I found myself kind of going, well, I don't know what the worst of this could be other than maybe some people being very surprised and potentially disappointed. But I think everybody will be all right. It's like,
the world will go on.
Right? It's like, what do you know? The world keeps on spinning.
Yep.
So, it's like, it was just one of those things. I mean, there's no hatred. There's no like, how dare they? There was no major, specific thing that had me going, and that was the straw that broke this camel's back. It was just sort of like, nah, we've done this for a good 10 years and things have been different over there. So let's just let it be what it's going to be.
And guess what? You've worked hard enough and long enough to earn the right to be able to say, I don't feel like doing that.
Yeah, I would like to think so.
Sure. Absolutely.
It's like, and if I haven't, then people will let you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody's shy. Nobody's shy.
Exactly.
The internet has removed all shyness.
Yes.
So as he states, Roger Craig Smith was not fired from Sega. He just walked away from the role. He basically said that he was pleased with what he's done, but he didn't want to keep doing this or voicing Sonic. Makes me assume that there was definitely politics at play here, or for instance, Sega's shitty practices, or their workload or whatever. This isn't the first time people leave Sega or they're working on a project and, they just leave. I mean, Yuji Naka left after Sonic 06. This isn't news at all in Sega. I don't know how their practices are. I'm not going to act like I know, but usually there are a couple of people that have left Sega and have not expressed favorable opinions of the company after they were done. I get that a lot more from Sega than with Nintendo. That definitely says something. He talks about him getting tired of living in LA and he wanted to move on with life. And I mean, that's true. He is 45 years old. He's basically middle-aged adult. He's approaching 50. And I mean, who wants to continue voicing Sonic or doing Sonic things at that age? I don't think I would. So I can understand him getting tired of it, but especially after Forces, I felt like they truly did not know what they were doing, and there had to be a lot of reformation and shake up with the teams, which is, I'm sure, what they're doing now. And I guess Roger Craig Smith wasn't cool with that, or there were some things they were doing he didn't like. So he's like, you know what? I think I'm just going to bow out now, give the role to someone else, but I think my time is done. And if that's the case, then I respect him for that a lot, because not a lot of people can walk away from an iconic role. I mean, he was there for 10 years, despite all the hate he got for people who didn't like his interpretation of Sonic. And he even talks about in the podcast about people always saying or complaining that his voice was too low for Sonic and things like that. So that makes me wonder, did the other VAs walk away too after he did? Because I mean, this has happened many times with jobs. Someone will leave a job because they're not happy with the way things are going. And then others will walk away and protest, or they're like, no, I'm walking away. But that's usually when a job has let that person go or fire them, so I don't know. And this whole thing does bring up what Tara Strong said on Twitter. Tara Strong is a very popular voice actress. And I remember she called out Sega saying that voice actors don't leave roles. People are saying, what happened? He said he left, and she was like, no, voice actors don't willingly leave. So I don't know. I think after what she said, people like me were just assuming, oh, so that means he got fired. I think something happened in Sega that made Roger upset, or not really upset, but just fed up. And he was like, you know what, I'm done. And he left, and then Tara was scolding Sega like, you see what you guys did? Because I'm pretty sure if whatever Sega did, if they didn't do that, Roger would still be voicing Sonic, as far as I'm concerned. But you know, this whole thing does kind of explain why Sonic Twitter unfollowed Roger, because that's what made a lot of people go like, Nani? They unfollowed Roger? That means they must have fired him. But no, I think that makes more sense that, okay, they unfollowed him because he left and they might be salty about that. I don't know. You know, I've had people leave projects before. Many projects that I've worked on, I had people leave, and either they leave on a good note, on a bad note, or a mid salty note. So that's life. You know, you're always going to have people walk away from projects and stuff. That's just life. Like I said, I do strongly believe that if Sega had it their way, Roger would have still been voicing the character, because I don't know, I don't think they would get rid of his voice. I just don't think. And if they did it, they would replace it with Ben Schwartz, knowing Sega, kind of like what they did with 4Kids when Jason Griffith was voicing Sonic. So what do you guys think about all this? Let me know down in the comments below. That's all I have to say for now. So until next time, I'm out.